Well, NASCAR about to return to Phoenix Raceway for the March weekend, if you will, a championship preview, quite frankly, when we get ready for the championship four here in November. This is the Inside Lane. I am your host, Devon Henry. Joining us today from the NASCAR Cup Series, he is the 2017 Little 600 champion, the 2014 ARCA E-Series runner-up, and a third-generation racer. Driver of the Spire Motorsports number 7 Chevy Camaro. From Concord, North Carolina, it's Corey LaJoie. Corey, thanks for joining me.
That's a hell of an introduction, and never have I had a rental go-kart race win in my introduction. But there was some stiff competition in that go-kart race. Don't let it fool you. I think I
And it was
beat
a win.
Bubba. It was a win. I don't get those very often too, so I got to take where I can get it. I think I beat Bubba and Justin Allgaier that night, along with some others. So, yeah, it's been a while since I've seen Victory Lane, man. Hopefully, we can change that here soon.
Well, I gotta say, you're winning basically every week because, you got the flow going on. So you've had it for a while, but what's the goal? What is the future of the flow right now?
I don't know, man. People recognize me by it. I feel like I'm more recognizable just because my hair is a little bit different than everybody else's. It's a little dry right now. I got to figure out what kind of product to dial this thing in a little bit to get the frizz down. I can't be having a loose fro. That thing's got to be high and tight, but also got to be flowy in the wind. So it's a tough balance. Tough balance.
So, okay, so what does it take to maintain those luscious locks?
I tell everybody unicorn piss, but lately it hasn't been working very good. So whatever my wife's got in the shower, I got to adjust it. It's a little dry right now. I don't like it. Got a couple split ends, so I need to get that taken care of because if you can't be good, you got to look good, and that's my life motto.
All right, well, let's move to racing because I could probably talk about this all day, but we can probably get into the things that I wouldn't get fired about talking about. So first and foremost, the number 7. It's meaningful here at Phoenix. Of course, Alan Kowicki, and you guys at Spire have really kind of taken that number 7 to heart and had a couple of really cool throwbacks. But when you look at these next-gen cars and some of the lower budget teams who aren't the Hendricks, aren't the Joe Gibbs, you guys now see this as an opportunity to level out the playing field. First super speedway, then a 2-mile track. What have you guys learned so far about these new cars?
There's still a laundry list of stuff we have to understand for this new car. I think what it is a more level playing field. It's not a level playing field. There's two different things because we're having all the same parts and pieces, but the teams with more OEM backing that understand or have been able to have opportunities to look at the wind tunnel data and CFD models and things like that will have a leg up on the smaller teams like Spire who don't get those sort of resources this early in the season. So we're a little bit behind there. We're a little bit behind in terms of just, what kind of setups. We didn't go to the Phoenix test, unfortunately. Just it didn't make financial sense for us to go out there a week before the season starts. We didn't have the parts or people to really make that happen. So we're going to be a little bit behind to understand this next-gen car, but we have to be smart and control what we can control, and hopefully we can figure this thing out here after the West Coast swing, get a better understanding of it. But we started off the year strong with a 14th at Daytona, and we were going to be finished inside the top 20 at Fontana before I got into the fence a little bit, unfortunately. So hopefully we can clean those mistakes up on my end, and we'll figure out how to make these cars drive a little bit better on our end as well, and hopefully we can tend for top 22 to 23. I feel like it's practical for us each and every week, and hopefully we can continue to execute that and deliver.
And I feel like spare time is something that you guys just don't really get right now. You guys have had 4 trips, or going to have 4 trips to the West Coast from Charlotte in the first 2 months of the season. So there's all this time that you commit into being a full-time NASCAR race car driver. But for the past few years, you've also had a massive commitment to your podcast, whether it be with MRN or now with NASCAR. Why is the podcasting scene a priority to you to make sure that you get that a part of your very busy week in and week out?
I got to be careful calling it a priority because, that's with all intents and purposes pretty low on the priority list because, I still want to be a competitive race car driver. That what pays all the bills. But I was telling my wife this week that, Tuesdays is when we record the podcast, Stacking Pennies at NASCAR, but I've also been filling in for Larry Mack on Sirius XM radio from 11 to 1. So that's when my brain's usually mushed by the end of the day just by talking and trying to formulate my thoughts. And that seems like my work day, where the weekend is now just my hobby, which is good because, you got to be able to unplug a little bit from just trying to be the best race car driver you can and kind of view the sport from a fan. It helps me anyways. So, the pot, and just like anything else I do, whether it's working out in the gym, whether it's running a shifter car to GoPro, or doing a podcast, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to put all of my effort to it to try to be the best I can. And, I'm not going to record a podcast and half-ass it. I wouldn't expect anybody else to want to listen to it. So if anything, I'm going to put my stamp on, like, I want people to enjoy it and have fun and laugh and make jokes and, give people an insight into the sport that I love. And that's what the podcast at NASCAR.com and Spotify or wherever you find your podcasts allowed me to do. And jumping on Sirius XM radio is also a good way to let the audience know, where I stand. And it also helps me explain the struggles of a small team. We're not in the same race. We're in the same race, but we're having two separate races as some of the teams that have responsibilities or the expectations to go win. So it allows me to have a better platform to explain that more in depth than what the broadcast can each and every week.
And I think it's going to be fun that one day your soon to be two kids are going to be able to go and listen to some retro episodes of Stacking Pennies. So I got to wonder, is Levi quite ready for that podcasting role, or maybe a future racing career, or probably more importantly, just to be an older brother soon?
Ready or not, man, in May, he's going to be one. He's a lot of fun right now. He's turning 2 next week. He's got a handful of words down. He can pretty much communicate whatever he wants, whenever he wants, which sometimes is a bad thing. Most of the time it's good, but he's got dad, mama, and more. And, he's got my truck, like he's got a lot of words down, and he can pretty much vocalize what he wants when he wants it. And I think it is pretty cool. I think at the previous podcast called Sunday Money, I was able to jump on with my dad, and him and I just talked about old stories. So that'd be cool for one day Levi to listen to his dad and grandpa talk shop. And hopefully one day I can, share a podcast or just some conversations with my kid. But it's pretty special to be doing the same thing my dad did, and even, on a higher level, because my dad made some sacrifices growing up for me to be able to do this and do it at the highest level. So I don't take that for granted. And hopefully I can, put the LaJoie name back in victory lane here in NASCAR for soon enough.
Real quick before I let you go, I want to touch real quick again on Phoenix, because I was reading an old edition of 12 Questions with Jeff Gluck, and you mentioned that every time you visit Phoenix, you try to go and take a hike at Camelback Mountain. So I'm curious, is that still kind of a thing to go out and try to do that, or is there anything else that when you come to Phoenix, you go, hey, I want to do this, I got to do this before we leave?
I mean, Camelback's the top of the list. A buddy of mine, Jeremy Simone, he played safety for Arizona State. He's a buddy of mine, so I always try to get up with him when I'm out there. But Camelback's top of the list. If you're out there going up and down, I usually try to get there since I'm trying to acclimate to the West Coast time. I usually wake up at 4:30, 5 o'clock here on the East Coast time, so that's like 3 o'clock in the morning in Phoenix time. So I'll try to get up Camelback before the sun even rises. That's pretty cool to be able to watch that. So if you're ever feeling froggy and want to wake up and be at the top of Camelback Mountain at about 5:45, you might be able to find me on a Thursday or Friday out there. So, but yeah, it's and also the Blue Green Resort. It's called Cibola Vista is where I usually stay. That's a killer spot with a killer pool, and that's where I'm usually crashing when I'm out there in Phoenix.
That is very cool, and I definitely will not be seeing you at 5:45 in the morning anytime soon. But I appreciate your time, Corey. Looking forward to seeing you here in Phoenix. And, of course, first and foremost, Las Vegas. Hope you get enough sleep on these West Coast trips.
Appreciate that, buddy. Good talking to you.
This is the Inside Lane on Sports 360 AZ. Keep it right here for everything going on for NASCAR week and coming up March 11th, 12th, and 13th.